Hi everyone, welcome to USPAACC Business Leadership Series. Can everybody help me? Good. Okay, so thank you all for joining us today for the one of the most talked topic, the tariff. So today's session, we will talk about how tariff is going to affect us in terms of individuals as well as business owners. So tariff has been a very dynamic topic these days, and I'm pretty sure we will have more updates on April the 2nd, which is the so-called Liberation Date. So it is more important than ever that for us to digest how tariff will impact us, both for business as well as for each individual. So this is an ongoing challenge for many of us. We are going to break it down so that we can navigate it with more confidence. And before we get started, I want to introduce my guest speaker, Michael Yan. He is the owner and he's the CEO of NYC Supply Chain Solutions. He's a very respected custom broker in New York and especially within our Chinese American community. And he's an expert in logistics and also in tariff world. For me, what sets Michael apart from the other custom broker company we work with is in addition to his knowledge, his experience in terms of tariff, in terms of shipping, but his compassion and his commitment to many of the entrepreneurs who want to open up their first restaurant, their first hair salon, or laundromat. So he has big accounts like JD or even Temu, but he's very down to earth to help young people who want to open up their own businesses and how to navigate the tariff and how to enjoy a discounted price from overseas suppliers. So for today's session, we're going to discuss about how to effectively, under the current eco-political environment, to utilize the effective way to reduce our cost. And I'm going to share my screen so we can know about the agenda for today. And let's go right started. All right, so the agenda for today. I'm going to start with individual as well as corporate shipping. Can everybody see my screen properly? Because I can see the video over here. So, all right. So for individual shipping, I will talk about some informal entry as well as corporate shipping. Most of the time is going to be a formal entry into US. And I will break it down into forwarding parts as well as custom clearance, what I'm doing as well as what Michael is doing. And Michael will continue with the current tariff and overview so that we can understand over all these topics, all these headlines, what's going on over there. And also he's gonna elaborate, double click on the tariff for different countries. Of course, we'll cover China as well as many other countries which will be involved. And he will deliver what should we do with these high tariff. And like we were mentioning with USPAACC, and we want to keep this as a conversational topic so that people, if you feel like you have any particular question, you can feel free to either leave it in the chat or you can raise your hand so that we can call out on you, then we can discuss in more details. So to start with, let's start with individual shipping. So I will go with individual shipping because many of us may not so familiar with tariff. It is more like when you go to the supermarket and then you got your groceries, you pay your taxes. Well, if you are not buying anything within US, you are buying from international another country, then you may encounter tariff rather than taxes. So it is very fundamental. It is actually we are encountering this day to day without we even realize it. Think about this. So there's a newlywed couple coming back from Paris, having their honeymoon, And if the CBP officer is grading you saying, oh, nice ring, that can be more than a compliment, because if you leave the country without the proper document, then you may be exposed to tariff again. So that's how tariff can get into us as individual, as into our daily life. Same as the concerts, when the superstars Taylor Swift or anybody who goes to another country, they have to travel with their expensive instruments, and they may have to encounter the tariff if they didn't put in the correct paperwork with them before they leave. So another aspect, many of us may be shopping, I mean, including me, from Shein or Temu. And this is also coming to the United States as an informal entry, which means if we are getting something less than $800, it's going to fall in Section 321. And then this is going to be exempted from tariff. This is also called the minimus exception. But we will most likely see more updates in April the 2nd, because as we know, in February, President Trump was trying to remove this exemption, and then there has been a lot of blockage in USPS. So this has to be withheld, and then in April, pretty much we will see updates on this as well. So other than individual shipping, what we have been doing is mostly corporate shipping. Corporate shipping, I know this can be really overwhelming by you just to see the Incoterms. What is X work? What is FOB? These can be a really foreign language for many of us, but is actually the very first step if you are buying or selling to another country. The term will decide who is going to pay for the shipping, who is going to pay for the duty, who is going to pay for the insurance, etc., etc. So we may have to spend some time in terms of what is the tariff, what is the Incoterm you are selling up with. And also in certain countries, saying like Brazil, they are not even allowing DDP term. So it is very important to check with your carrier, with whoever shipping those cargo for you, to select the term that's gonna be to your company's benefit. And also to elaborate for corporate shipping, it is formal entry. It's just like the machines that MSO has been handling. Those are big machines. So there's no way that we can say this is an informal entry. It has to come through CBP, and then it has to declare the customs, and then it has to pay for the correct tariff. So that's why for some of our clients, they are going to just doing an exhibition in many different countries. They have to travel to Europe, to Asia, to South America, making sure their products can be seen by the customers in another country. But before they can make the transaction, they cannot afford the tariff. That's why we have to give them the shipping proposal saying shipping traveling with a coordinate so that they can avoid these. So it is very important at this time to consult with your carrier, like what we can do. And also, we have a customer who has been regularly importing candy from China. And before 2018, the tariff for candy was 5% or so. And then because of the 2018, the first term of President Trump, we will have to pay another 25%. Right now, with the tariff increasing another 10%, 10% in February and in March. So starting from 5%, we are talking about almost 50% for candy. We were utilizing our global network resources so that they can diversify their portfolio, trying to get their ingredients from another country rather than from China. That's not an easy choice for my customer, but somehow that's what they have to compromise at this point. So I think that's a very brief introduction for what has been going on for shipping. But right now, I think the highlight for today will be Michael introduce you about the current tariff as well as the tariff in different countries right now. So it's all yours, Michael.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so first of all, thank you, for inviting me to this panel. Today is Tariff Day. It's a really, really complicated, so we got a different type of phone calls. We, get a different, type of inquiries, and for daily inquiries, increase a lot. Let us, take a look, what's going on about the current tariff, okay, after January 20th, okay. So can you move the slide, please? Okay, I need the next one. Okay, so in general, after February, when current, leader in the White House, they start to change the tariff. What we have now, just until March 27, there's a couple tariff applied to the globalized, for all countries. So number one is 25% for the automobiles and the major parts that just announced about yesterday, but not effective yet. The effective day will be April 3rd. That's based on current announcement, but we don't have a detail yet. The major country from the automobile is Mexico, Canada, Japan, Germany, and South Korea. That's the major part. There's $8 million cars export to the United States. That's a huge 25%. For for current. Yeah, another one is the steel and the aluminum tariff. So this one a little bit tricky. They separate. The two they call 232, section 232. The section 232 start with year 2018 or 2019 in between. That's under Trump's first term. So that time, all the country get 25%, but later they get exempt from EU country, and most of European country and the EU group, they are under quota, which is they had exemption. But after January 20th, they start to plan to impose a 25% again to the steel and aluminum. During the first term, the steel is 25%, aluminum only 10%. But after March, they start charge 25% on the all steels and 25% on the aluminum, no matter what. Okay. There's a little bit tricky and a little bit complicated for the additional tariff if there's not 100% made of the steel or aluminum. So for certain products, if they made only the certain percentage of the aluminum, but you're still being tariffed for 25% of the portion of the content. For example, you import the air conditioner, then in the air conditioner, there's a certain parts made of the aluminum. So you have to identify how much content for the air conditioner. You only being taxed for that portion. Yeah, that's it's a little bit detail. Is it if the tariff the HTS code, which we call harmonized tariff schedule number, is not from 72 chapter, we call chapter 72, chapter 73, or chapter 76. If they're not from those chapter, if you have the furniture under a 9403, chapter 94, you might only tax, the portion of the, the aluminum. So that's against for all countries. It's not no exception. Okay, so then there's a news. If you import the oil from Venezuela, if you import the oil from this country, the 25% tariff will on all goods from this country. That's not effect yet. It's ongoing. Okay, so that's currently for all tariff on all other countries than China. China get more, okay, but incoming, as the Ming mentioned previously, on April 3rd, April 2nd will be the big announcement for the new tariff, which is called reciprocal tariff. So the reciprocal tariff means they will look up the book to see how much tariff if the U.S. goods export to that country, and then they will compare the both book, which a book is tariff book, harmonized tariff schedule book. For example, for certain items, Brazil charge 12.5 for the particular item, like certain alcohol, okay, and then U.S. side only charge 2.5. So then they are going to match, so their proposal will be charged the same 12.5, like automobile, U.S. car export to European country 5%. The European country export to U.S. 2.5%. So they are going to match. They call reciprocal, but we don't know yet. We don't know exactly what the duty rate is. We don't know yet. Okay, so and then we're waiting for the April 2nd to see what's going on about the tariff. They call liberation date. For the tariff. Okay, that's a current ongoing. It's imposed all the tariff. Summarizes 25%. Automobile will be effective April 3rd. It's being announced, but don't know the detail yet. And the steel aluminum is 25%, for chapter 72, 73, and 76, and the other chapter who use those as the raw material. So they will be taxed the raw material percentage of the products. And then, the goods, you import oil from a certain country, and then they will tax, from their country. If you bought that, they will, on top of 25% for all goods, that's no matter what. And then, the reciprocal. That's the four things is ongoing. We don't know yet. Okay, still waiting. Okay, can you give me backslide for the China one? As China portion is even harder. So after March, they will they increase it 2 times. First time is the 10%, and then not a week later, they increase another 10%. So effective on March 4th. So that's a 20% for China goods is for certain drugs. So if you not stop the drugs, the export to the United States, based on the document, so you will get 20%. That's called EO. We call executive order duties. 20% of the executive order. Okay. Okay. So that's the one. Also, 25% for the automobile. Will be affected China too. But indeed, there's just not many. The whole car the export yet. To compare with the major country from Japan and then Korea. Okay, so that's effective on April 3rd. It's and then reciprocal. And then on top of that, there's an old Section 301. It's between 7.5 to 25%. It's been effective for past 8 years. So that's existing 25% or 7.5%. So why is different? Because they have a negotiated 4 times. They call phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So that's first, 3 phase, negotiation is at 25%. And the fourth, negotiation, they get the 7.5%. The 7.5% only apply the householder one, like a garments, shoes, something like that. But the major industry one, is 25%. It's been almost 8 years. So, the total duty, from China is around like if you are, made of the steel or aluminum, if you are, subject to 25% of the, Section 301, and then the 20% for the EO, executive order together is almost 70%. I can give you an example, like you import metal furniture. So the metal furniture, you have to pay 25% for the 301. You need to pay the 20% no matter what for the EO. And then you need to pay the steel and aluminum, 25%. So that's a 70% from China. China is under very high tariff so far, and then plus it's a potential reciprocal, for that particular items, maybe, another 10 or 25%. We are waiting for the book to see what's going on. Okay, so that's a current situation. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. So most of the common question is, what should we do? Okay, so do we have any way to avoid this, or can, lower our, production costs? So that's a mostly, most very common question in asking, there's a couple way, which is, they are, most of the importers are working on that, or try to find a different type of strategy to allocate their risk. The number one is, looking around to see the low tariff countries. And so far, the Vietnam, the Malaysia, Indonesia, they are under very, very good position. So if, we import metal furniture, right? Just talk about today. We cannot talk about tomorrow. We don't know yet. Okay, but just today. So if you import metal furniture, from Vietnam, duty is free. It's a free. Okay, it's a free. It only affect the 25% for, the steel and the aluminum portion. Okay, but it says, 25% or less. For the metal furniture, not all metal furniture subject to 25%. It's only certain. Okay, so when you pick up a certain item from Vietnam, the duty is free, or 25% only, compared with China is 70%. Okay. So another one is use a free trade agreement. We still have a certain free trade agreement ongoing. You can go online to check. When you put FTA, there's you can download about 36 a different type of free trade agreement. But this agreement is a past agreement. But like a NAFTA, North American free trade agreement, is ongoing. But the current tariff, will impose to Mexico and Canada 25%. It's coming, right? So they postponed twice. The next expiration day is April 2nd. Okay, so April 2nd will be the big day for those, those things. So even they had the new NAFTA, but still not affect the additional duty, against Canada and Mexico. Okay, so but we still can look at other free trade agreement, like Africa agreement, Central America agreement. That's also help under current stage. If you import something from Central America, Guatemala, or some other country in Central America, still duty free, still under the free trade agreement, not get there yet. Yeah, but except the the tariff for the aluminum and the steel. Okay. Another way is we need to get the export to reclassify certain products. So if the shipment under duty free or at a very low rate, some importer or some traders, they they don't really care, the classification, but it's a time to sit down to see, to look very detailed to see the products, is classified right or wrong. Okay, so because different HTS code and different classification will result different duty rate. So and then that's very, very important. Okay, so maybe you can allocate and try to based on the U.S. custom ruling, and then to get the correct HTS code, and then to reduce your risk for this one. Okay. Another way is change your design. Okay, so the design is very, very essential. Can help you to reduce the tariff. Now, for example, okay, if you're made of the made of the polyester for the garments, right? You get to the the skirt, right? You get a skirt made of the polyester. You'll pay 16% base rate. A 16% base rate from all normal trade relation countries. Okay, so but if you made of the cotton, instead of the polyester, you only pay about 10.8. Okay, it's 6% difference because of the content of the fabric. Okay, so but sometimes you can use the current new technology, a new new skill, and then to allocate the content. So normally, when the shipment, of the fabric, the weight over 50% will go by the predominant, the items. For example, if over 50% for the polyester, so we're going to charge 16% for the particular items. Turn back if you use 45%, the polyester and 55% cotton to blend the fabric, and then that will be made of the different you will get the made of the cotton instead of the made of the polyester, because the predominant is cotton, and then you can get 6% around lower tariff rate. So that's not only applied to the garment industry, it's also applied to other industry, when you change the things. With this steel and aluminum, you might use a different metal to to do your production, and maybe you get the good position, but you have to sit down to think about this one. Okay, so that's the major thing we can think about there, but another way is I don't know you guys here heard about this one or not. It's called foreign trade rule. So we call FTZs. So the FTZ, is it's physically in the United States. The legally is outside United States. So okay, back to the slide. Okay, so there's a two benefit for this FTZ. FTZ you cannot avoid. If you import the products into the FTZ, you cannot avoid or exempt the duties. Okay, so but you can postpone the duties. And then also, you can do some work, like assembly work in FTZ. So that's the FTZ purpose. But there's no way to avoid this duty, but you can postpone. So the postpone duty, you can use since it's high duties, right? So the traders fears one important thing. If they buy some stuff, they couldn't resell back to the local market. So if you use the FTZ concept, you can import the products into the FTZ as the storage first, but you don't need to pay any duties at that moment. Okay, so once you get to sell, or you confirmed the shipment being sold, okay, so then you can withdraw from FTZ, and that time you pay duties. So you get more control. With your tariff. So you don't need to pay in the front. You get a cash flow, advantage, but you can control your total cost. If the shipment cannot be sold, you might can export. Okay, so when you export to other country, you might not need to pay these duties at this moment. Okay, but this based on this all information is based on today's information. Okay, maybe tomorrow, the government have a different, type of update that we don't know yet. But until this moment, the FTZ can postpone your tariff payments. But this is a pretty good way to maintain your, the major, industry products. Okay, next. So the FTZ have another a good thing is, in the past, it's if you import raw material, let me give you an example here. Okay, if you import a raw material, raw steel in FTZ, so far, you don't need to pay, the 25% for the steel, 232. Okay, because you import it, into the FTZ, it's a temporary. So remember, it says physically in the United States, but legally it's outside the United States. It's a foreign trade, like outside of the country. Not United States yet. Okay. So when you import to that location physically, the raw material is already in FTZ, and then you are manufacturing in FTZ. You use those steel raw material, and then to make some other things. Okay. So once you make other things or assemble it, with other things. Okay. So you can, once the finished products are produced, you can withdraw it from FTZ. But that time you are paying the duty is paying based on the classification, when you leave the FTZ. So when you incorporate certain steel into the one item, and then that item might not on the tariff, on the steel extension, additional duties. So you might not need to pay this 25% against the steel. You got my point? So that's the important thing is that you import raw material disappeared because the raw material is incorporated into one finished products. And then the finished products are not subject to 232. You don't need to pay, the raw material, the steel tariff. So that's the good thing for FTZ as current situation. But of course, above case study, just a sample. So if you really want to take action, for this idea, you need to, consult with the legal team, okay, to get a more detail to think about, okay? So that's pretty much, so I believe I have one more slide to bring the detailed examples, right? I mean, no?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's it, So for today, let me wrap up. Okay, so a lot of duties separates, several group. EO 20% to China, steel 25%, aluminum 25% to all over the country. Reciprocal is ongoing, car is ongoing, and the major part is ongoing, 25%. And then certain country, if you buy the oil from certain, not friendly country, and then you will be tested another 25%. So that's current ongoing. Okay, pretty much, that's, and then we find several way to see what we can do. But so far it's a limited way. FTZ is a good option you can think about. Okay, Ming?
Yes. So to double click on this FTZ idea, I actually have a question while we talk. So let's go back to the idea about the fabric, saying, okay, polyester is having a higher tariff while cotton is enjoying a lower tariff. If we are importing a same garment coming to the FTZ zone, and then that's mostly with the component was polyester. Well, when we have further development saying we are putting more contents, like we are putting more cotton while it is in FTZ, saying the cotton will be the majority material for this t-shirt or jumpsuit. is this going to, if we sell it outside, is this going to enjoy the lower rate for cotton?
The garment industry is a little bit complicated, so it's a not very, good example in the FTZ, but I have another example better than this, okay? Sofa,
Please.
okay? The sofa, they have three major material, fabric, wooden frame, and then stuffing, and then the spring, okay? So the spring, stuffing, and then the fabric and the wooden frame. So the fabric, the duty rate is original duty rate is a 14.9 for the fabric, and then the wooden frame is around like 3.2, and then the spring is 2.9, and the other stuffing, like stuff, items, it's around like a 5%. Okay, when you put everything together, and then when you make to the sofa or love seat, right? When you export, withdraw the sofa or love seat from the foreign trade zone, duty is free. The sofa duty is free. So that's the pro. That's the pro to FTZ, which is the original material. Is original material is have a duty. The finished products have no duty on that. Okay, but like a spring, it's considered of the metal products, steel products, right? So the steel products you need to pay 25%. Based on previous case, when the steel, the spring incorporated the sofa, the final product is the sofa. Is nothing to do with the spring, right?
Right.
So the 232 was 25% supposed to not apply to FTZ items. So that's a better idea for utilize the FTZ to
Definitely, yes.
but you have to think about the pro and the cons, right?
Right.
So you're still using the labor in the United States. That's good for the economic here, because they create more jobs, right? So they create more jobs here. But the labor rate is a little bit higher. Okay, so compare with the current overseas labor rate, right? So you have to do the detail work to see it's work or not. Yeah, and the FTZ itself have the maintenance costs. It's a higher than the normal warehouse. It's under custom supervision. So we're get more costs on those things. Okay.
On the
But
overhead.
the pro and cons, they always happen together. We have to put all the numbers to compute calculate.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So
AI can help you.
sure.
Okay.
So I think now is about the time so that we can open the discussion part. And while we welcome more attendees to share your questions, we do have a question that we have handy for Michael already. So we will use this question to start with for consumer goods. This is actually one of my clients' questions, so it is very real life. And he is having gummy bear coming from China. So he has the question saying, okay, the candy itself is $20 for the candy itself, the unit price. And then for the packaging, he's spending another $20 because either this is with like Paw Patrol or some franchise packaging. And then the labor, the overhead cost is costing him like $10. So for the total, he's paying $50. He has been having the question, should he pay tariff based on 20, 40, or 50?
50. Okay, so the FOB price, in order to the US is considered the value. So the value of the goods. So value of the goods for this gummy, which is gummy, this is the total value of the gum. You cannot sell the raw material to the public. Okay, so you cannot deliver the raw material without a package to your consumers, right? So for the consumer, the FOB price, which is is a ready for sale, for retail sale. Okay, so that's the price. It's you have to test on your products, unless you move all the raw material to the US, and then you can use the US labor to do the work, right? So,
Mhm.
when you now the packaging, into together as the part of the raw material. So of course, FOB prices will be FOB $20 for the raw material. So when you bring in, you still cannot sell your product to the market. So you still need to use the labor to put them together and then to make a relabel it. That will cost you, certain, and then you can compare which way is good with this high tariff. Okay, so if you pay $20, of the 45% as this gummy, right? So
Mhm.
it's 20% and 25%. So around the 45% over $20. Then the package. You do the labor here. If you can save certain dollars. You can compare. You pay 50 of the 45 or 20 of the 45. Then assembly in the U.S. or pay 50. Complete goods import from China. Which one is better?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the way you can calculate. You have a breakdown cost. You just use the FOB time to tariff, and then to see what's going on, and then add the local U.S. labor. Then you can find out the compare with the FOB $50, which one is more benefit.
Right. So
Yep.
there's a lot of math in the back.
Yeah, you have to do the math, to see it work and not work. But we have to wait, you cannot change it now because currently, the daily change a lot. Everything every day
Heard
is
that.
different. So
Mm.
we need to wait a couple, months, and then when everything stabilize, right? So we know, that's it's a constant for a while, or it's a the 4-year plan or 8-year plan. Now we know there will be continue to do so. Then the investment can allocate more to depreciation. You can depreciate your investment, right? So
Right.
that's the way you have to think about it. Wait a couple months to see what's going on. I don't suggest they are making a decision right away.
Mhm.
Yeah, we wait to see what's going on. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for now, and then because I do see some questions in the back, so let me get into those. Or Payson, do you want to start the question for the first question, probably while I stop the screening?
Yes, I do see some excellent questions coming from the comment sessions. Ming, do you want to look at them first from?
All right, so let me see.
How do you handle the reverse when some raw materials? One.
Okay, yeah, sure. I got a question. So we got a question from Michelle Daniel. So Michael, how do you handle the
Yeah. How
reverse
do you handle the reverse when
when
some raw
some
material?
raw material have no tariff,
Yeah.
US manufacturer, but
Yeah.
finished products that contain some US based components is coming from tariff, which now have a 25% tariff?
Uh, I I'm thinking, so currently for auto makers market, I heard the news, okay, but not finalized yet, okay. Heard news, if you use US made material to make the car, so over 50%, for example, so you are being taxed 12.5% when you export back to the US. So if you use the US components, right? So to make your car, then when you export back to US, you only charge half of them, the additional tariff. Okay, so that's the news. Yeah. So but don't have the paperwork yet. So so far, if you use U.S. material and then ship to foreign country and then to do some new products and export back to the U.S., we don't have exactly, the way to handle this. Okay, but so far at this moment, we didn't see any benefit on that. But there's a one thing is ongoing. Is before this tariff. We call components made in U.S. The components is a complete components. That if the components can, physically touch and see it, and it can just sell and resell. If you install US made components to any machine, when you bring the machine back, that portion exclude from the tariff. That's been in the Chapter 98 for a while, many years ago. Okay, so which is US components assembled aboard. When you back, you don't need pay the tariff for US components itself. Okay, so that's I don't know I answered the question or not, right? But the US components never been taxed when you ship back or installed to other machine. You need to fill out the form to tell the US government, tell the custom that's the US component. We have a clients, they have a list to do, they send us some component to China to make the machine, then send it back. They have a list to total cost of the machine, but the other than components will be taxed. Those components will be exempt. Okay, there's a certain form when you fill out, you can exempt for those items.
Right. We can
Okay.
share Michael's contact information after this, so maybe they can email you for how those can illustrate.
Yeah.
I have another question from David. He's asking, is there any increase for tariff on wines and hard liquors products from China? And what is the current tariff?
I have a lookup, so that's 100% increase. Okay, so it's average in China the 45%. Okay, that's additional. You have to pay 25% for Section 301, 20% for the EO executive order. So the wine and the liquors, it's very tariff free. You can go to the chapter 22 to look up. So it's there's not many tariffs on that. The tariff rate is charged by liter. The tariff rate is charged by liter. Okay, so when you go to the book chapter 22, you will get the whole rate on the. You can find out the wine, a different type of wine, different type of liquors, and you can find out the rate. If you want, you can email me, and then I can look up for you. Okay, but China 45% is there.
Yeah, I think most of the products from China is having
45%.
right.
Yeah.
And I have another question that's direct messaging to me is how does the tariff will impact small and medium enterprise compared to the larger companies?
Large company have the more volume, right?
Right.
So yeah, so
have that
the large company have a more volume. Like in recent the news, right? The Walmart gets if you watch the news, right? The Walmart start to negotiate with all manufacturers. Okay, so if the tariff increase, Walmart said, so you guys have to think about how to do this. That's my price. Okay, so
Right.
the big importer, they might have the bargaining power, more bargaining power. Okay, and then big importer might get more influence for future decision of the new tariff maker, right? So small importer, we list several way. You can think about how to allocate, how to your sourcing, you're easy to change the the supply chain, right? So if here is increase more, you can switch to another country. If you can find out alternative products to substitute your current market. So for a small importer, maybe it's a little bit easier to change their supply chain. There's always a pro cons. Okay, so if you only can there's in real market, like Chinese market in the United States, some importer only speak Chinese, right? So they don't have the multi, or bilingual or trilinguals, negotiate, the communication skills, that might be hurt for temporary. Okay. Yeah.
And I think we have another question is how does technology or digital trade will help to play reducing the reliance on traditional tariffs? Like how we
Uh,
can incorporate AI in a way.
AI is changing a lot, changing everything, changing our life, changing our jobs, changing our, way. So of course, AI is thinking, faster than us, and then they can pull out all the web information and then to generate their idea. Just like, I told you, the fabric content, right? So if this content, you let, the AI optimize, it's quickly than what I'm thinking here, right? So
Right.
compared with the different industry, you can input your idea to the AI, let them give you answer. Okay, so then you can filter the answer from your personal or life experience to compare it. Right, so when you compare it, feed them again. Okay, so finally, the AI can help you to make certain idea you never thought about. Okay, okay.
Right. And I think that's pretty much what we have. And Michael, do you have any final takeaway for today or any suggestions for our attendees today, our audience?
Yeah, things change every day. When this year, at the very beginning of the year, I have some idea and thinking, and then number one, AI change everything. We have to, to take this new technology. That's very very important. It will impact your life. Not only the tariff. They can. It's very good tools to help you at this moment. So the AI will change our. It's a huge, tremendous, change for our life. That's number one. Number two, under this, uncertain, stage, um, like a turbulence, right? But we trust the airplane is safe. Okay, so the turbulence is always happens, right? But
Right.
we trust, the engineer and the new technology can keep the airplane fly safety from the beginning to the end. But uh, during the time we just watch the movie, okay, so relax, right? To see what's going on. Okay, so I don't suggest to take any a quick decision, but we can to try to gather more resource for the small business. We face a lot of small business owner, so the cash is king. So try to keep more liquid on hand, and then to face the difficulties. Okay, and then to keep this business ongoing, to keep the employee here, to keep all your supply chain, existing supply chain, and then try to let everybody understanding each other, and then we can find the way, but to overcome this certain challenge. Okay, it's a opportunity, risk always come together. Right. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. And I think I personally learned a lot for how to navigate the tariff from finding a lower tariff country to source your materials to try to develop your industrial components, switch what are the most beneficial components for your merchandise and also to utilize the free trade zone if you are actually manufacturing or having those giant machine that's not gonna sell in a short time frame. Those are very useful and resourceful material that owners can utilize. And I agree that we need to stay really positive. Even though this is a very dynamic and very evolving situation, still, if something is falling, there must be something is prospering. We just have to be really positive to see how we can find that upper part. All right. So last not about least, and we have the USPAACC celebration in June. So anybody haven't registered yet, please feel free to join and sign up. And if you have any question, you can always feel free to contact Devin, Kevin, or Danny. They are always here for help. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, and have a great weekend then.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Lin.
Mhm.
Thank you, team. Okay, yeah.